All right, you guys, it is time for this week's Best of the Bunch. Well, friends, the worst of the week was Revenge of the Sith, so it's only appropriate that this week's Best of the Bunch is Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now, you guys have all had plenty of time to see this movie. How do I know that? I've seen it 3 times. Guys, I don't know the last time I saw a movie 3 times in the theater. I'll go see a movie 2 times, but 3? I don't have time for that nonsense. I made the time for The Last Jedi. Now, I am giving you the biggest spoiler alert. I am going to get into it with this movie. If you somehow have not seen The Last Jedi, stop watching every movie ever, run, don't walk to the movie theater, see The Last Jedi, come back here, and then see what I have to say about it. But I do not want to spoil anything for anybody. All right. Are all those guys out of the room? Is it just you and me? Just the Star Wars super fans here? Let's talk about The Last Jedi. Guys, I loved it! If you didn't know that already, I loved The Last Jedi. Boy, I have so many good things to say about it. Now, a thing though that really depresses me and makes me sad, my core, is that The Last Jedi has become a sort of controversial film. In the press, this movie has been sort of hijacked as having had a mixed reaction. And I simply don't think that's the case. If you go over to Rotten Tomatoes, last I looked, critically this movie's sporting like a 97%. Critics love this movie. But the audience score is something like 49%, meaning that half of the audience did not like it. Now, there are a lot of great articles on the internet, and I suggest you go out and look at them, analyzing those numbers, and pointing out that the system has been gamed. That there are a very small minority of vocal and active fans who worked as a team to drive those numbers down and make the movie seem like it's worse than it is because they don't like some of the things that happened in Last Jedi, things I'm going to talk about. But all of those things that they hate are things that I love and that I think are vital to the franchise and to not just this movie, but to the health of the franchise. So Star Wars: The Last Jedi, what's it about? What's going on? So this is the latest installment in the Star Wars saga, picking up from The Force Awakens, which I really liked. Rey has gone to an island planet to train with Luke Skywalker. That's how Force Awakens ended, right? She's gotten to this island. She has found Luke Skywalker. She presents him with his lightsaber. The credits roll. We're like, oh man, what's going to happen? And so nerds have spent years now sitting around and theorizing about what's going to happen when Luke gets that lightsaber. And they've been sitting around for years theorizing about what's going to happen with Kylo Ren, the big bad guy in the new series. Who's this Supreme Leader Snoke guy that Kylo Ren reports to? And who are Rey's parents? When we meet her on Jakku, her parents are gone, missing. She's waiting for them to come back. Who are her parents going to be? Is she somehow like Luke's daughter? Is she somehow Kylo Ren's sister, and as such the daughter of Han Solo and Princess Leia? Is she related to like Obi-Wan Kenobi? Who is Rey? Guys, what I love about this movie is really summed up right away. Right when we rejoin Rey and Luke on, I believe the planet is called Acto, and he gives her that lightsaber, Luke takes the lightsaber, looks at it, and throws it over his shoulder. He throws it away. That is what this movie is about. Kylo Ren says in the movie, destroy your past, kill it if you have to. And he's right. This is the 8th Star Wars saga movie, the 9th overall, and the Star Wars formula is set. These are movies about destiny. These are movies about good conquering evil, about being a Jedi and family legacy. What The Last Jedi does is it says that's all nonsense. We can't do that anymore. And I love it for it. Luke has exiled himself to Acto. He doesn't want any part of teaching Rey. He is more Yoda than Obi-Wan. He thinks that the Jedi should die. He looks at the legacy of the Jedi as one of failure, and it's hard to think that he's wrong. The Jedi failed to stop the Emperor from becoming the Emperor. He managed to help defeat Darth Vader and help defeat the Empire himself, but then he lost his own nephew as Kylo Ren turned to the dark side and destroyed the little training facility he'd set up. Listen, guys, I'm kind of getting off topic here really quick because I loved this movie so much, and I have so much to say about it. And there's so much about it that's great, and that's a part of it. Luke's turn, his decision that the Jedi aren't all that, and then Rey showing him that they could be, is really cool. Like, Rey shows up, and in talking to Rey, and through a surprise appearance, and again, these spoiler alerts could not be more serious, a surprise and terrific appearance by Yoda, who looks and acts like Yoda for the first time since Return of the Jedi. Luke comes to realize that there is still hope in the galaxy, and that, yeah, the Jedi were messed up, but Rey has the potential to be something more, is tremendous. The other action is also great. There's a tremendous opening bombing run sequence on an Imperial vessel that is super exciting and suspenseful and unlike anything we've seen in the space battles of Star Wars. The sequence on Canto Bight, the casino planet that the internet just straight up hates, is terrific. Now, people don't like it because ultimately this is a place where Finn and a new character named Rose, who's a tremendous, spunky and exciting young female character, where they go to this casino planet to get some information, and ultimately their mission fails. Guys, people are upset that the mission fails, but listen, this is a movie about failure. Everybody fails in this movie. They're dealing with past failures and having new failures. It's important. It's also a movie with a ton of strong female characters, outside of Rey and Rose, who are tremendous. You also have the last performance from Carrie Fisher, who is knocking it out of the park. And you've got Laura Dern as a new character named Vice Admiral Holdo, who, the movie seeds initially as being a jerk and being disconnected, not knowing how to lead, but who turns out to be one of the great leaders of the rebellion, a woman who isn't taking any guff from a Poe Dameron who is up his own, too into himself, and who ultimately is willing to make an ultimate sacrifice for everybody else. The finale on the Crystal Planet is tremendous. And what Luke ultimately does and what happens to Luke is one of the great sequences in all of Star Wars. This movie has so much to it, guys. And we haven't even talked about the two big complaints yet, so let's talk about them. First off, who is Snoke? The movie said, Last Jedi shows up and says it doesn't matter. Kylo Ren kills Snoke in this movie as almost an afterthought. Who he is and what he has done do not matter. He is not a necessary character, and this movie dispatches with him. Great. There was never going to be an answer to who Snoke was that was going to make sense or be satisfying. Who did you guys think he was going to be? It doesn't matter. Similarly, Rey's parentage. There's been a tremendous amount going on in this movie. The greatest lightsaber battle in the history of the franchise has just happened as Rey and Kylo Ren have teamed up and dispatched a bunch of super bad red armored warriors. And Rey and Kylo Ren have a confrontation. You think Kylo has turned to the side of good, but no, he just wants to use this to grab power, and he wants Rey to come with him. Rey can't do it. It is not who she is. And they start talking about who her parents are. And Kylo dangles that in front of her, this knowledge that he knows who they are. And he says to her that she's always known, and reveals that they were drunks, they were nobodies, that they sold her for drinking money, and that they're in a pauper's grave. People hate that about this movie. People say, how can she be a Jedi when she's not a Skywalker? How can she not be descended from some great Jedi lineage? But you guys, don't you see? That's the beauty of Rey and her character. Anyone can be a Jedi. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who your parents were or where you came from. She is, as Luke says in the film, nobody from nowhere. And that's important because it means for all the little kids out there playing Star Wars that any of them can pretend to be a Jedi, that anyone has that potential, that it doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor or where you come from. Everybody is just as important, and everybody has the potential to be the next Jedi and the next hero of a new generation. The movie is called The Last Jedi, but Luke toward the end looks at Kylo and says that everything Kylo knows is wrong, and that Luke Skywalker will not be the last Jedi. And then you cut to this powerful shot of Rey using and realizing her powers to a degree she hasn't, and standing as a leader of the future. Star Wars The Last Jedi is a movie about throwing out the past. Yes, it happened and it was important and it was exciting and it was fun and it will always be there. We can always go back and we can rewatch all the Star Wars movies. And yeah, some of those, particularly the original Star Wars and maybe The Empire Strikes Back, are better movies than The Last Jedi. But The Last Jedi is a line in the sand in saying that things need to change. We can't just keep remaking Star Wars over and over again. We can't hold to this specific set of rules. We need to open up the universe and make it about more. And The Last Jedi does that, and it does it in... And I'm standing here talking to you and making it sound so deep and heady and all of that, but the truth is this movie does it in such a fun and exciting way that it's nowhere near, I think, the pomposity that I might be getting close to right now. So I don't want to talk about the movie much more, but to throw out a couple of things I loved about it. I love the milk creatures that Luke gets his blue milk from. I love the creatures. I love Rose, and I love Rose's sister who shows up in the movie. Holdo is amazing. The sequence where she makes her sacrifice is one of the most stunning movie moments I have seen probably in my entire life. The Porgs are fun. Chewie is great in this. BB-8 is always fun. And it was so much fun to see BB drop down inside of the X-Wing and do what his job is and try and repair stuff inside the X-Wing. We've never seen stuff like that before. Watching Poe grow as a character and realize that his cocksure attitude is maybe undeserved and is not what the rebellion needs out of a leader is tremendous. Yoda is so great. You guys, this movie is a gift to Star Wars fans. If you saw this and you felt bad because it wasn't the movie you expected, or you felt like it wasn't Star Wars because it took things in a new direction, please see it again and be open. And I promise you're going to love this movie because it is a heck of a movie. 5 stars all the way.